Hello, friends. A war that began thousands of miles away in the burning deserts of the Middle East has now quietly crept into the waters close to India. It was early morning, March 4th. The Indian Ocean looked calm, almost peaceful. About 40 nautical miles from the Sri Lankan city of Gal, an Iranian naval warship was slowly cutting to the silent water. Its name was Iris Dina. Just 2 weeks earlier, this very ship had arrived in India as a guest. Its sailors walked proudly beside Indian naval officers during the multinational Milan 2026 exercise in Visakhapatnam. Photographs were taken. Hands were shaken. The Indian Navy even posted a message online celebrating the moment, calling it Bridges of Friendship. It looked like diplomacy. It looked like cooperation. But the ocean remembers things differently, because on that quiet morning, something far more terrifying was already unfolding. Deep beneath the dark waters, hidden in silence, a predator was waiting. An American nuclear submarine. Watching, tracking, calculating, and then, without warning, a deadly -48 Malawian Quach's torpedo shot forward through the darkness of the ocean. Seconds later, the silence of the sea was shattered. A massive explosion tore through the hull of the Iranian warship. Steel ripped apart. Fire erupted. The vessel began to sink into the cold black waters of the Indian Ocean. Inside the chaos, sailors fought desperately for survival. But the ocean is merciless. 87 Iranian sailors never made it out alive. 32 survivors were later pulled from the sea by the Sri Lankan Navy. And as the wreckage disappeared beneath the waves, a strange silence followed. India said almost nothing. No outrage. No strong condemnation. Only a calm statement from officials saying the incident happened outside Indian territorial waters. But many critics believe this moment reveals something much deeper, because the sinking of this ship is not just a military strike. It is a warning sign, a signal that a much larger and far more dangerous conflict is already spreading across the world. The Middle East is already burning. After the death of Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei during a joint U.S.-Israeli strike, the region erupted into chaos. American forces launched a massive wave of attacks across Iran. Nearly 2,000 military targets were struck. Air defense systems were shattered. Naval facilities were damaged. Missile bases were destroyed. Cities across Iran shook with explosions. But Iran did not remain silent. In retaliation, Iranian forces launched missiles and drones toward American military bases scattered across the Middle East. From Iraq to Kuwait to Bahrain to Saudi Arabia, most of those incoming missiles were intercepted. But not all of them. Smoke was seen rising near the headquarters of the United States Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. In Kuwait, 3 American fighter jets were accidentally destroyed in a tragic friendly fire incident. And in Saudi Arabia, drones struck the American embassy compound in Riyadh. At least 6 American soldiers lost their lives. Meanwhile, the consequences began reaching Israel. Missiles and drones rained down across multiple Israeli cities. In Tel Aviv, falling debris from intercepted rockets damaged more than 40 buildings. But the destruction inside Iran has been even worse. Reports suggest that more than 1,300 civilians have already been killed during U.S. and Israeli airstrikes. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to rubble. Families buried beneath collapsed buildings. Lives erased in seconds. And now, the war is spreading even further. Iran's powerful ally Hezbollah has joined the conflict, launching rockets toward northern Israel. Israel has responded with airstrikes across southern Lebanon and parts of Syria. The battlefield is growing larger day by day. But the most dangerous move came next. In a shocking announcement, Iran declared it was closing the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow passage of water is one of the most important energy routes on Earth. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply travels through this single choke point. Iran warned that any ship attempting to cross the strait could be attacked. The global reaction was immediate. Oil markets panicked. Hundreds of massive oil tankers suddenly stopped moving. Many ships were seen waiting outside the Gulf, unsure if it was safe to continue. For countries like India, this creates a serious problem, because more than half of India's oil imports come from the Middle East. If this route stays blocked, the consequences could be devastating. Fuel prices could explode. supply chains could collapse, and ordinary people may soon feel the pressure in their everyday lives. At the same time, another controversial decision came from the United States. Washington granted India temporary permission to continue buying Russian oil for 30 days despite existing sanctions. This decision raised serious questions. Why would an independent nation need another country's permission just to buy energy from someone else? Opposition leaders in India have accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi of remaining unusually silent during this crisis. They argue that India once followed a fiercely independent foreign policy. But now, critics claim that voice has faded. Meanwhile, even some American allies have begun to push back. The European country Spain publicly condemned the attacks on Iran. Spanish leaders refused to allow American aircraft to use their military bases for operations. They declared clearly that their country would not become a servant of foreign wars. But perhaps the biggest question now is not about politics. It is about what happens next, because history has taught the world a painful lesson. When powerful nations try to reshape another country through military force, the result is rarely peace. More often, it creates chaos, civil wars, power vacuums, and dangerous new extremist groups. Some reports now suggest that intelligence agencies may attempt to support rebel groups inside Iran, hoping to ignite an internal uprising. This strategy has been used before in Iraq and Syria, and the consequences were devastating. If it happens again, the entire region could spiral into an even deeper crisis. For now, the war continues. Missiles still streak across the skies of the Middle East. Naval fleets move silently through dangerous waters. And somewhere deep beneath the Indian Ocean, the shattered wreckage of Iris Dina rests on the ocean floor, a silent grave beneath the waves, a chilling reminder of how quickly a distant war can reach the doorstep of another nation, and how the decisions of powerful governments can change the fate of millions of ordinary people around the world.